Have you ever heard this pompous slogan? Democracy dies in darkness. The fake news coined it a couple of years ago, and, well, the code, basically, it's code for give Trump a hard time and cover up for Joe Biden, all right? That's what it means in actuality. They only shine a light on Joe Biden when he wants that light, okay? When he's ready to give a big speech. Trump, they're always trying to find something, and when they can't find something, well, they just make it up. And when he has a no-kidding, clear-cut accomplishment, right? Something that is so newsworthy and big, and yeah, great for him, you got to show it on the news, right? You got to. You can't shadow ban President Trump right after he wins the Iowa caucus. I was too busy watching that speech on Newsmax, actually, and marveling at the 30-point victory to give the fake news much consideration on Monday night. So I'm a little late to find out that they had the audacity, the nerve, the arrogance to deny their viewers access to President Trump when he's making the most important speech, really, so far of the political season, of the year, certainly. He won Iowa. He's in first place by 30 points. Let the man speak. Why not listen to him? You talk about him all day long. CNN, watch what happened.
We're going to seal up the border. Because right now we have an invasion. We have an invasion of millions and millions of people that are coming into our country. I can't imagine why they think that's a good thing.
Donald Trump declaring victory with a historically strong showing in the Iowa caucuses. If these numbers hold, the biggest victory for a non-incumbent president in the modern era for this contest. A relatively subdued speech as these things go so far, although here he is right now under my voice. You hear him repeating his anti-immigrant rhetoric. He did take time to praise his rivals, Haley and DeSantis and Ramaswamy by name. Rather un-Trump-like to do that. Gracious, but perhaps a sign of some message discipline, at least for one night.
The most pompous guy in the world. And a hideous decision. Who are these people, right? Why did they get into this? So he could sit there, stand there in his suit and judge people? What is he, a political message discipline? Let the man speak. That's what they used to do, right? Especially cable news. 24/7, let's take the speech. Can't believe they did it on Monday night. I can't. But you know what? I should not be surprised. MSNBC did it, and, well, they've done it before.
But our success was so incredible.
You've been listening
like never before.
To the former president announcing that he is running for president again, rewriting the history, most recently, of the midterm elections.
At this point in the evening, the projected winner of the Iowa caucuses has just started giving his victory speech. We will keep an eye on that as it happens. We will let you know if there's any news made in that speech, if there's anything noteworthy, something substantive and important.
You know, it's kind of tragic for our country. It really is to do that. And these speeches that Donald Trump gives are actually not all that hard and not all that easy to find on YouTube. YouTube plays all kinds of games here. You know, big tech, shadow ban. What about that darkness, light stuff about democracy? No, they're just going to turn it off. You know, it's one thing on television. It's bad, but it is just TV. What about in a courtroom? What about in a courtroom? So you know that this Carroll person is, well, said probably the most awful thing you could say about somebody with absolutely no evidence, right? She can't figure out the year, but she alleges that Donald Trump sexually assaulted her in 1995, 1996. And by definition, there is no evidence to back this up. None. She has zero. She's benefited so far. I mean, this is her when she first made the allegation. This is her more recently on the right. You see, right? She can already smell the money. She probably already has some from Reid Hoffman and who knows who else. Donald Trump can't do this in court. Can't raise fundamental issues about her credibility. But I can. Have you ever seen this before? She takes people on a walking tour of her. I don't know if it's a cottage or an outhouse, but it's something to see.
Some very distinguished mice live here. Kahneman lives in the kitchen. Taberski lives in the bedroom. This is my shed. And on that side are the books that most influenced me growing up. On the door are the list of my dogs: Marky, Fortuna de la Spunky, Heidi, Bloody, and Hepburn. The streams and the rivers were dry, and it so horrified me that I came out and started painting the rocks blue to indicate that there was once a river here. And then after I got done painting the rocks, I just sort of walked over here and then did that tree and then did that tree and then I did this tree. And then pretty soon I'd done this whole forest.
So that's E. Jean Carroll. And look, sexual assault is awful. It should never happen, and it can happen to people from all walks of life. But you got to remember, she has absolutely zero evidence. And let's pretend she accused you, right? What would you think after seeing that? What would you think after watching her on that Anderson Cooper video or interview where she said rape is sexy? What would you think? You'd probably agree, and maybe you would say exactly what President Trump said.
My lawyer said, "Sir, you don't have to do it." I actually said, "I think I should. It would be respectful." They said, "Sir, don't do it. This is a fake story, and you don't want to give it credibility." That's why I didn't go.
One thing you did do in this.
And I swear, and I've never done that, and I swear to, I have no idea who the hell, she's a whack job.
Can anybody look at that video and write, this is a big country, 300 million people. To find somebody to come forward and make a crazy allegation, I don't think it's all that hard. But some really dangerous things are happening, and this is happening right now. Donald Trump was in court here in New York City today, confronting his accuser, but he really can't confront her because, well, he is hemmed in by pretty onerous restrictions. Let's go through some of them, please. Right here, it lays it all out. It has been determined already that Mr. Trump did sexually assault Ms. Carroll, that he knew when he made the statements about Ms. Carroll that they were false, that he made them with reckless disregard. That's from Judge Kaplan. His mind is made up. I don't think he's being fair, and he seems to be very hostile. Next, please. In fact, that Mr. Trump sexually abused, indeed raped Ms. Carroll, has been conclusively established and is binding in this court. Now, here's the thing. Here's where the whole damn system, like Al Pacino said, is screwed up. There's no evidence. There's none. This is what rigged justice looks like. This is horrific, folks. He's a man who cannot, at this point, profess his innocence. Take a look at this. According to the judge's rulings, Trump cannot claim he did not rape Carroll, nor can he deny that he sexually assaulted her, or question her motives, or claim she was lying. You know, if you have a law degree and you're not outraged by this, the whole system, the whole legal system is out to get this person and could easily be out to get you and me and a person who does not have the means of President Trump or the fallback option of possibly becoming the president of the United States. And the legal community actually thinks this is fine. The legal community, at least the one you see on TV, a lot of lawyers out there, you're being way too quiet. I know you know this is wrong, but maybe you're afraid of losing clients, drawing too much attention to yourself. So these are the people who carry the day.
This is a very experienced federal judge, a very tough federal judge, and Donald Trump had better not cross those lines.
Judge Kaplan has been on the bench for a long time, since 1994. He has good courtroom control, and that means he doesn't tolerate nonsense in his courtroom.
This, though, is a Judge Lewis Kaplan. A lot of people say judges are no nonsense. He truly is. He runs a very tight courtroom, and we'll see what more he does about this if Trump does continue to attend the court hearings.
The media, totally useless, huh? You know, so Donald Trump is in that courtroom, and he can't profess his innocence. That's how screwed up this whole thing is. You know what's fascinating? This is, I guess, the penalty phase. They're actually just trying to figure out how much money E. Jean Carroll gets, all right? Even convicted murderers, convicted, the worst of the worst, serial killers can get up in court during the penalty phase and still say they're innocent.
What I can tell you is I didn't kill anybody. What I can tell you is I didn't stalk anybody. And what I can tell you is I didn't dispose of any corpse. I didn't do it. I'm innocent, Judge.
I mourn with all of you who mourn my children. Jesus Christ knows the truth of what happened here. Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered in this case.
That judge isn't freaking out. That judge isn't threatening the defendant. People are allowed to say things in court that they want to say from time to time, right? Especially now. So Trump, how about this? During the penalty phase of, remember this guy, the South Carolina case and the lawyers and the whatever was going down on that plantation? It was pretty weird, right? He even got to say he was innocent before they sentenced him to prison for the rest of his life.
One more thing, JJ, going back, I do want to tell you as to how close I feel to you. My wife loved you, and you are absolutely right about everything you said, but you are dead wrong about one thing, and I would never hurt Maggie, and I would never hurt Paul. And it is important to me that you know that.
So it's amazing. A convicted killer gets more freedom, more rights than Donald Trump. You know, as they arrested him and brought him into this courtroom and that courtroom all over the country, I thought that, well, some judge would get involved and see through this crap, right? And would straighten these prosecutors out. But it hasn't happened. It looks like they're in on it. The whole system is in on it. And, you know, we've seen this before throughout our history, America's history. Martin Luther King, we just had MLK Day the other day, right? You know, he's really grown on me over the years. That whole judge people by the content of their character, not on the color of their skin. What's not to love about that mantra, that philosophy? The woke left, they can't stand him anymore. He's become a conservative hero. We know about the I Have a Dream speech. We know the mountaintop speech. But do you know about the letter? He wrote a letter from jail.
His speech gets, of course, most of the attention, but it was the letter that he wrote from Birmingham jail 4 months prior. It was April of 1963, and it was in that letter. He wrote it to a bunch of clergy who had questioned whether his civil disobedience was the best way.
Yeah.
And he writes this letter to the clergymen, basically saying this is the only way. And it was in that letter that we came to know the phrase, a threat to justice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
I got that letter right here. April 1963, 16 April. It's 14 pages long, and it's beautiful. So I went through it at the suggestion of a friend, and I found something very profound, all right? Let's go ahead. Letter from Birmingham jail, MLK. Sometimes a law is just on its face and unjust in its application. Also this, you have to remember, we should never forget that everything Adolf Hitler did in Germany was, quote, legal, unquote, and everything the Hungarian freedom fighters did in Hungary was illegal. Isn't that kind of fascinating, right? The powerful can rig the system to get whatever they want and to stop whatever they don't want.